G'day everyone, welcome to the Opal Mills. Today we're going to be making a inlay ring similar to the one I made in a couple of videos ago that I didn't show the full process of. So this time we're going to see everything I do, including the making of the ring for an inlay ring. So in the last video I started with the ring made and just showed a bit of the inlaying and then finishing off. I've got one of you guys wants a couple of the blank rings made up, so we're going to do that and another one or two with the inlay in it finished. So we'll get to see the whole process, but for starters I'm just going to start how I do this. This is not a how-to as much as, you know, I'm doing it, and I'm sure you could too, but this is how I do it. So I'm sure there's many ways to do this. Go through the tools. Silver, we've got 5mm flat, and I think it's about 1.2mm thick. Over here we have some 2x1mm, so that will sit around on the edges all the way around the ring each side, and some solder. So that's all the silver that we're going to be using for this. And tools needed, other than the blowtorch and the flux over there, and pickle solution, obviously the soldering equipment, but we're just going to use a mandrel for rounding everything out, saw for cutting, stamp for identification, snips, ring forming pliers, some flat pliers, and a couple of hammers. One will be a metal flat faced one, and the mallet, and some inlay. So we'll just have a quick look at the inlay since it's Opal. It's very hot in the shed today, so the light's already gone, so we're going to use an outside light source lamp to see this. But we've got some nice bits of shell. There's not much could have been done with. So that's going to be some of the inlay. A few more bits. Pretty much most of this has got to be tidied up and into little slithers ready to be inlay pieces. Some really nice colour in amongst this, so it's going to be a fantastic looking ring. Don't know if that bit made it in by mistake. Check him over there. That's going to be a really nice centerpiece. We'll try and get 2 slices, one for each ring that we do inlay. Bit of that. Oops. Bit more purple. We may add a couple more bits to that. We'll see how we go when we start slicing it up and seeing how much we need. So first we're just going to start making the ring, which will be, zoom out a bit, stand up straight, which will be the 5mm band, and I'm going to make 2 S size rings. Get this out of here. So what I'll start doing is that's where the S is. I'm going to start making a ring. Sorry, that's where the S is. I'm going to start making the ring down here and bending it. I might go and anneal this actually before I bend it, just make it a bit more soft and pliable, and start making it down here so that when I slide it down it stays nice and round, whereas if I start putting it on the S here, any deviations once rounded out will slide it down further. So we want to make it, to start with, nice and round down here, and then we slide it up to the size we want, and then we guesstimate, mark it, and see how we go. So I'm going to go and anneal this first. Annealing process is heating the metal as the molecules in silver are all stacked, evenly spaced when they're happy. Let's put it that way. When we bend silver, we're stretching one side and squishing another, and the molecules are bunching up one end and then stretching another. And if you keep bending it that way, you can end up with splits in the stretch side. So to even out and balance out those molecules again, we give it a bit of heat, not to get it cherry red, but a dull red, and that helps the molecules in the silver relax, as I was taught. So you want to relax these molecules, and then they evenly space, and that way when you can bend it a bit more without it splitting. So that's just what annealing process helps to do. So yeah, I might quickly go and anneal that and come back. I might as well show you. Okay, so we've got our piece of annealed silver. Got a nice square end to start off with. And we're just going to make it around near the S mark, but just a bit higher. So I can slide it down afterwards. And this should be reasonably pliable. Just be able to do it by hand. So it's nice and tight there. Slide it down. I need to get this tab here down a bit. So I'll just push that out of the way for a sec. Now I can figure out where I want to try and get a better shot of this so you can all see. So where I've got the S, I'm going to hold it just above. And that way I'm going to be able to look down there and line up where I think the cut should be. So with that, we'll use a razor blade. I think that's too much. It's going to be way too much. So we'll back it back a bit. I reckon about there. Yep. So I'm going to cut it at that second mark. This one. And see how we go. Welcome to the Opal Mills, where we don't know what we've done till we've done it. So we'll slide this on and see how we've gone. We've got these two ends to sit flat. Looks like it falls short, but the ring's not perfectly round. That's past the mark too. By the time they come actually together, and then back on the mandrel, that'll be an S. So we'll go and solder this one up and prove me right. Alright, to do this, we'll grab our flat pliers and do what I refer to as sort of breaking its neck, just going. Same this side. So our two ends are more pointing straight at each other. Then I'll grab ring forming pliers, round side in, And I can just push a bit one side, a bit the other. That gives it the tension on the join. I'll just align the join a bit straighter. Too much. And again, bit of tension. And there we go, a very nice join. Slightly out. Beautiful. Tight join inside, sides, top, which is important. Otherwise you get a bit of a saddle effect in the join when you're polishing and sand, or yeah, when you're polishing, because the solder is softer than the sterling and will wear a little bit out, and then your join mark will just show straight up again. So that's important. So let's go solder this. All right, first thing we want to do is just give this a good coating in. Might as well just chuck the whole thing in flux. On one side, flip it over. There we go. We got our titanium pick. Zoom in. We've got a little bit of solder here. That's all we need, just tiny bits. And we're just going to burn. This is my process. Again, not everybody does it this way, if anyone. But I like to burn the flux off first before I add the solder. That's the colour I want that. So I'm just dipping my titanium pick in a bit of flux. Where are we? A bit of flux so I can pick up the solder. And carefully place the solder at the join. Reapply heat. Now just to make sure it goes through to the back, you spin it over. There we go. You can see the solder's all nice and shiny all through the join. So straight over into the pickle. I'll let that pickle. Okay, so here we go. Out the pickle, nice and clean. Ready to be put on the mandrel and made round. So I'll zoom out for this bit. And with this, we're just going to use the mallet. As you can sort of see, there's high and low spots where it touches and doesn't, and I'm hitting the spots where it's raised off and it's sort of hitting in a down sort of slight motion, so it keeps bringing it down. Now we're just above S at the moment, so we're going to give it a couple of hard strikes. And by the time we've completed that. We're right between the R and T on the S. So we'll take it off. As the mandrel is conical shaped, i.e. it's not parallel, it tapers in towards the top, which means this edge here is wider than this edge here because this one hasn't been stretched or straightened because it doesn't reach the mandrel because of the taper. So you switch it around and hit it from the other side and straighten this side round. And there again, right between the R and T. We're going to lose a shaving off it as soon as we do a bit of sanding on the inside anyway, which not by much, but may bring it down a little bit more. So I always leave a bit of room for that. So now we have that round. We need to flatten out these edges, and that way when we put our sides on and they sit straight, they'll run all the way around true. So for that, I'll grab a file, coarse one, clear a bit of bench space, and the file moves in one direction usually only. So if you were to use a file and as you're filing forward, that's your grinding power or filing power. As you're dragging it back, it doesn't file this way, it only files this way. And if you keep running it back and forth too hard on the back as well as the forth, you actually can blunt your teeth on a file. So always put it down this way and direction of travel towards the handle. Hopefully the ring fits on the file without the sides skipping over. We get a weird looking effect. I've got to keep it there, so I'll use my thumb and my finger as a guide and just give it a bit of a scuff up, turning it around as I do it, and then we'll have a look. So might zoom in again. There's a couple of spots around here, around the edge here. It's a bit white still as opposed to the silvery spots it's actually done. So we're going to keep going. It hasn't even touched there yet. There's a little bit of an inconsistency in the join. That's me. So yeah. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now for the other side. And there we go. I'm happy enough with that. So we'll do the other one as well. If we can locate it. There it is. It's right in front of you, Phil. So here's the second one. We've made 2 size S. Okay, so there's both of them. Virtually perfectly, as perfect as we're going to get it flat. You could almost solder these side by side. A really nice join. I'm thinking of even making a 1, 2, 3 double wide inlay. Might do that in a future video. But we're doing this for this video because this has been pre-ordered. So the next step, we don't want a bit of a bow in our silver, as when we bent it, you can notice slightly these corners are raised up higher and there's a bit of a saddle sort of sag in the middle. So we're going to have to flush that up. Just to highlight it, I'll just quickly touch this with the file. And as I run the file around like that, you can see it's not touching the center at all because the sides are high. So we need these sides flat to get a nice fit with the sides that we're going to put on for the edges. So I'm just going to go around and file that, And there we go. All done. There's one little line right in the center there I haven't got out. I don't want to set a bad example. We'll get him out. There we go. So now we're ready to make the sides. We're going to use this 1 mil by 2 mil rectangle wire, and it's going to go end on that way all the way around. So we're going to anneal this so we can bend it sideways. Alright, so here we are back with our 2 mil by 1 mil, and we're not going to bend it around this way, we're going to bend it around this way. So this is going to take a bit of finesse. So I'll start up here and try and get the bend started as close to the end as possible. I may end up having to lose that tip afterwards to bring it back to where it's curved nice enough for my liking, as I may make a bit of a mess. So we want it to bend perfectly sideways as we can. So this may need a second annealing. As you can see, it's wanting to curl on me, so you'd be constantly chasing those out, but nonetheless curving it that way. I'm just going to do it a little bit and probably make a large U. By that time, I'll give it another annealing. Now you can sort of see what I mean, that as I'm curving this, this inside edge is getting squished in and the outside edge is getting stretched. If I do it too much in one hit, I may get splits through here, and I don't want that. So annealing it will align those molecules back to even again. And then I can go and bend it as if it was uneven bent yet type pliability. Alright, so I'm going to stop there, then I'm going to go over and get this to flatten out again. Okay, so we can see the size of this against the size of the ring. So now I'm going to come back to this edge and start tightening up this curve, which is why I didn't do a full circle to start with, otherwise I'd end up with probably 2 full circles, which I don't need. Well, I will, because I'm doing 2 rings, but it's easy to just do one at a time. So, stuff out of the way here. Let's tighten this edge up a bit. We start checking it. So it's starting to contour a bit tighter, but not quite yet. It's starting to look a bit better. Oops, sorry. Starting to look a bit tighter. I'm trying to do this with a length of wire sticking out the end here. It's a bit awkward. So I want to go from about there, which was there. It's way up camera, sorry guys. Open up a bit here. Look it around here. So it comes to there. So come back here a bit. Now it's starting to fit nice and tight. Not 100%, we can correct that in a bit. Let's see if I'm good enough. Alright, so here's where I can start judging where I want to cut it. I can always file a touch off after, but we need to separate it from the main part. Alright, found my magic marker. So I'm just going to go on here, and I'm going to, in my head, account for a bit of the overhang. I'm not going to account for it too much because I don't want to come up short. So, you can see that. my mark is there, which by the time that pulls in, get rid of that. I may have to still file it a touch. So we take the ring out, find our mark, and we'll cut. Okay, so we're going to put this on the mandrel. Just give it a light tapping to get some of those lumps out. Just a bit of gentle persuasion. So yep, I'm confident that'll fit by the time I neaten it up. So what I'm going to do, same as the ring, break the neck. Which means we're going to have to take it out of our nice little round. Try and get that joint as nice and neat as possible. So we go solder that. Okay, so we've got these out the pickle. They're a little bit out of shape from being soldered, so we need them round. So we're going to get them gently onto the mandrel because we don't want to stretch them out. And we're just going to take out the inconsistencies in the round. So they're pretty much flat, but just out of shape. So this is very gentle tapping with a flat faced little hammer, knocking stick. And so I'm just going to go around and give it to it where it needs it, on the high spots. Be careful not to put it out of shape. And that way it won't be stretched. Because I don't want this to have a wobble around it. Once I've finished, I need it to be straight. Slowly letting it slide down by itself. Just checking that the space is even. So now we can sort of check it against our ring. Let's see if it's a nice tight or no fit. No fit preferably, because we're going to file it a little bit. So that's not going on very easily, but I can see how it wants to, it very much wants to. So I'm going to stop there on that one and do the next one. Alright, here comes the fun part. Getting these on and staying in place if they're a little bit big. That one's perfect, which is good. Make for a nice flush join. Let's push it down a bit. perfectly flush all the way around. That's awesome. I'm going to go solder that one as is before it moves. See if we can get another one on. A couple of taps on the mandrel and that just went on flush. So that's 2 on. Before I push my luck, I'm going to go solder those. So I'm going to get the flux on where I want it. Not only where I want it. Around here. Try not to have too much solder flowing anywhere else then. You might want to go where this flux hasn't been. I really hope this doesn't start moving around on me. When I heat these up, and these outer rings can sag down one side if they relax a bit. It's not quite a tight enough fit, but I'm hoping I've got it. Alright, so just going to get some flux on the situation. And better chop up some solder fuel. So this is how our solder comes. 1 mil wire. What I'll do is just snip off the lengths, about 3 mil long. And probably use about 4 or 5 on each piece, sorry. Alright, first things, turn the volume down on your light. Okay, here we are. All soldered up. Now let's just tidy up around these ends. And that's where we're going to be doing a bit more filing. Again, just scuffing it up, seeing where the high spots, low spots are. Obviously it's not a perfect fit. So yeah, this may take a little while. Might come back in a bit. Alright, so I've gone around the best I can. I'm just going to go around this edge as well, and then I'm going to start on the paper. So for this, it should be pretty well level. Just want to give it a nice finish, especially around by the join. There we go. So now it's a bit of filing on the inside, get rid of this sharp edge. We'll give these a stamp and then get to the sanding. Alright, so now we need our 400 grit eraser to remove some of these scratch marks, our magic markers left. Alright, so we're up to the 1200 sandpaper on all these. These two are going to get polished. I'll wait until I finish these off to polish it all at once. But these will get the wax and the rouge. And these will as well, but these ones are getting some inlay. So that's what we're going to sort out next. So I'll get some opal out. Okay, so this is our opal we're going to be using. Some of it will need cleaning up and slicing to get a couple of bits out of some of it. And nice bit of purple there. So I have to get thinned down a bit more. And sliced. And it's got some fractures in it, so I'll work around that. So we'll get to start just cleaning these up. I'm going to start with this piece. Can't really see too much colour from this side. The light's all behind. I haven't got the light on the camera because of the heat. It won't come on. So I'm going to get all this dirty stuff off, thin this stone out, and I'll keep checking it against the ring to make sure it's going to fit in there. Alright, so I've started cleaning some pieces up. This is what we're going to start with anyway for one ring. So I have to go in edgeways. It's got a bit of potch on that one. Could have probably gone that way, but it was too thin. Of course, the black glue should set these off quite nicely. Nice little chips of crystal. So I'll let them dry out and get ready to glue them in. Okay, that took a little bit. I had to slice all these bits up and then reshape them. Each one has to have kind of that shape, so it continues on the round as you put them next to each other. So I've got some arrows drawn on them. For these ones I've pre-placed in the ring and started the pattern. I'm going to sort of alternate it with purple and colour, purple, colour, purple, colour. So we're going to mix up some resin with our dye and arrowdite epoxy. A couple of toothpicks here, one for mixing, one for the colour. Ship's over here, so I'm not leaning on that. That's my bench peg doing that. But yeah, I'll get a bit of this out, start mixing, start putting them in. I won't be able to talk too much, and hopefully I don't go off camera. Here goes. I need a little bit. plenty. A quick little mix. Oops, our colours are starting to come out the jar. Must have got pretty hot out here. That's don't need near that much. Let's put a little bit there. Keep that over there. So there's quite a lot in there. Here he goes. So at the end it's just like laying bricks. Except again I put it in the wrong way. So there we go. That's the start of it. Just gonna let that sit for a minute. Clean my fingers up. And here we go. I'll leave that to set. Do the other one. Righto. These are all done. It's dry. Only one problem. Someone forgot put a stamp on them. I'm not going to put it on now. Let's smash everything. So anyway, we know the sewer. We're going to put it on a dop stick. And we're going to go and face it. Lever this up. Flame on. Just pushing all the wax up to the top. Just like dopping a stone. Want it to sit evenly. And just sort of push it around over there a bit. That way it can't slide back out. There we go, one down. Only got one stick, so we'll be doing one at a time. So we'll head back over to the wheel, start turning this around. Now I want to cut this. The idea is I'm going to come from both sides, and I'm not going to have the wheel flat. I'm going to have these slightly, well, angled that way to hit the silver edge and leave it sort of raised up a bit towards the middle, and same from the other side till I hit the silver. And then I know I can start getting the polish on it without eating into the silver. So we'll go get this on the wheel, see what it looks like. Alright, here we go. So I'm just going to wear them down evenly, hit the high spots first. Alright, so you can see we're getting down to it now. And it's just going across this edge with this on a bit of an angle. As you can see, it sort of touched both sides, but mostly this side. A couple of little spots. The rest of that will come out after. So now we're going to work the other side, this edge. There we go. So now we're going to get that a nice polish up. You see it slightly raised in the centre, probably not much. We're going to polish the silver and opal all in one hit. Nice. So over to the cerium oxide. Alright, so from here, we've got to take off this sharp corner up here and here, all the way around the edge, where it's at a vertical 90 degrees, virtual 90 degrees. So yeah, it's very sharp. So we'll take that off and go back over it with the 1200 and get all this excess glue stuff off and get it polished up. Alright, all finished. So they're the two blanks, size S. And here are the two finished ones. So there we have it. I hope I've somewhat explained best I can how I went about making these, so I haven't left anything out. And yeah, there's many a way you could probably make the ring up. And inlays, just being very careful, cutting your bits to size, making sure they all fit before you start putting them in. And yeah, have fun. They're not super hard, but they are a bit time consuming. But yeah, well, I say they're not super hard if you've done this sort of thing. But yeah, so there we go. I'm going to leave this video here. I've got so much to get on with, and these are taking over 3 to 4 days. I wasn't feeling good yesterday, so I think I had a bit of a day off. But there we go, all done. Other videos we've got coming up will be some more doublets, cutting some stones, and I've got the new attachment. That's going to be the next video. Forgot to tell you that. So I have the new attachment, and yes, next video I'll do a video with that to show you what it's all about. So yeah, I'll leave this one here and get on with that, and see you in the next video. Cheers. There we are, my good sir. I hope they're happy. I hope you made them the right size. Hee hee.